I think when crisis or trauma or something like this happens in our life, what we do is we tend to focus on what we don't want to have happen instead of what we do want to have happen. And that's because when we're in the fight or flight response, or when we're in that survival state, we're always trying to predict the worst thing that could happen so that if anything less happens, we have a better chance to survive, right? So when I left the hospital, I said, look, there's two things I want to do. There's an intelligence within me that's given me life, that's keeping my heart beating, digesting my food, organizing all these functions. It's got a mind much bigger than my mind. I don't know how to do any of those things. I can't heal this body, but it can. So I came up with the idea like, well, if the power that made the body heals the body, then I just got to make contact with this intelligence. And once I make contact with it, I got to give it a plan, a template, a design. I got to let it know what I want, get very clear on my intention, and then I got to surrender it to a greater mind and allow it to do the healing for me. So that was the first thing I said. The second thing I said is I'm not going to let any thought slip by my awareness that I don't want to experience. Now, that sounds really good from a philosophical standpoint.
Very, very challenging. But
when you're facing paralysis, I would start my inner work and start reconstructing my spine, and the next thing you know, I start thinking about living in a wheelchair. I'd stop and have to start all over again because that wasn't what I wanted. That was the wrong signal I was giving it. I'd start again, and the next thing you know, I'd be thinking, should I sell my practice? Should I sell my home? There I go again, back to the other ideas. So it was a constant practice, and then I would get frustrated and get impatient, and then it got worse. And so it took me sometimes 3 to 4 hours every day to go through that inner work, and it wasn't easy. But after that 6-week period of time, I started getting better at paying attention. And paying attention is being present, and it's a skill. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. And right around this time, what was taking me, 3 or 4 hours to do, all of a sudden it started getting easier. It started taking less time. And once I started seeing that, I knew that I was firing and wiring new circuits in my brain, and I was getting better at paying attention. And now, when I finished it, I felt like I hit a tennis ball right in the sweet spot. I felt like I hit a golf ball just right. Something would just start clicking. And that's when I knew that I was developing some skills. So I mean, think about it. You're with your best friends, and they're all sitting around the hospital bed, and you're in trouble in your life when they tap you on the shoulder or give you a hug and say, we know you'll make the right decision, which really means I'm so glad I'm not you. So it was a really a powerful initiation for me in my life, because it was really, I had to weigh what I knew against what I didn't know, and I'm so glad I didn't have the surgery, because I don't have any pain in my back, and I live a normal life now. I went through a dark night of the soul that first 6 weeks, because when you're in a dark night of the soul, I think you realize that nobody has the answers to your life but you. And no one knows what it's like to be you, because they're not you, and you might as well not even ask them, because they're going to give you their experience instead of your own. So when I was getting frustrated and I was getting impatient and losing my cool, I noticed that my focus got worse. But when I started getting really grounded and I started really trusting and started surrendering and playing with it a little bit more, I wanted to get from the beginning of my rehearsal of reconstructing my spine all the way to the end without taking a turn off on the wrong exit. And so all the times that I had been practicing were the times that I was actually changing. So all of those moments led up to that one moment where I started and I went to the end, and when I finished, I was able to hold my focus. I didn't wander anywhere in my mind, and there was a physical sensation in my body that felt right. It felt good. I felt connected. It felt like I knew what I was doing was working. And then the moment I had that connection, from that point on, when I started noticing the changes taking place in my body outside of me, I started paying attention to what I was doing inside of me, but now I did it with more passion.
I had momentum.
More music. Yeah, I was connected. Now I knew. Now it's just like all the work you do in training for anything. Is in the beginning it's really hard, but then when it starts getting easier and starts getting fun, you start enjoying it, and that's what happened. I started looking forward to my meditations. I couldn't wait. to get back in there and refine it a little bit more. It was just my world. I mean, I had nowhere to go. I wasn't going to go. I couldn't train. I couldn't go. I was laying face down, and just working with myself. And so it was a great time. It was a difficult time, but I learned a lot about myself and a lot about the healing process along the way.